Hey there, YouTube land. Well, I'm back after about a 6-month hiatus from YouTube. Before I begin this video, I just want to apologize for the lack of uploads. Um, you know, uh, November and December, I had deer season going on, and between that, work got busy, and I just didn't have time to make videos. But now I've got some time off, and so I have more time to make videos. Um, So hopefully that means we'll see some more uploads coming in. Anyway, let's get started. Today we're going to talk about vintage baitcasters. Now, those of you who've watched my channel know I'm a big fan of vintage fishing reels. We all know this. But most of those reels I have bought were spinning reels and spin cast reels. And these baitcasters I got at Jack Metzger's Antique Shop. It's a local antique shop in the town where I live. He's only open on Saturdays and Sundays, but he usually has some good stuff there, and he's a very nice guy and always treated me well, and very fair. So the first one we're going to look at is the first one I bought there. This is an Ocean City Interstate. I bought this reel last summer, but I didn't really get out to use it much. This reel was made, I believe, in the 1940s. And the reason I say that is because I was on the Old Reel Collector Association website, or ORCA for short, and they had some articles or posts or whatever about these old Ocean City reels. Now, on there they had advertisements from Ocean City, and the three that I saw that had this reel in them were from 1940, 1945, and 1946. So that's why I say this one was made in the 1940s. Excuse me. Ocean City was mainly known for saltwater reels back in the day. They were based out of Philadelphia, and they were a competitor to Penn. In fact, the man who founded Penn, I believe his name was Otto Hines, actually worked for Ocean City until the 1930s, and then went on to found the Penn Reels Company. But anyway, back to the reel. It's got the tension knobs, bait clicker, and a backlash control knob to try to reduce the likelihood of getting a backlash when casting. And this is also what you would call a knuckle buster bait caster, or a direct drive reel is the more proper name for it. Why is it called that? Well, because as you can see, there's no anti-reverse, no free spool release. It's just a direct reel, and you have to use your thumb as the drag and free spool release. And when you cast, the handle comes backwards like this, and it's called a knuckle buster a lot of times, because if you get your knuckle in the way, you might hit your knuckle. Now on these, it's a little harder to do because they're smaller, but there were saltwater knuckle busters made by like Penn as well, like the Seahawk and some others. Very nice reel, good quality parts in there. As you can see, nice and smooth. I did obviously clean and service it, and these reels are very simple to work on, which makes them nice. And sometimes you find them for pretty cheap at places. That's all there is to this one, the Ocean City Interstate. The next one is the Brook Lure number 15 reel. Now, Brook Lure is not the reel maker. That's just a store name. This reel was made by the Bronson Reel Company out of Bronson, Michigan. and it was made for the Spiegel catalog stores. What is a catalog store? Well, back in the day, between about the 1920s until probably about the 1970s, there were a lot of stores. Many people know Sears, Montgomery Ward, Western Auto. There's Spiegel, and there might be some others I'm just not thinking of. But basically, they had their own catalogs. You could order a lot of stuff out of them. And what those stores would do is they would make a contract with various companies and have products named with their store brand on it. So this Brook Lure is actually a Bronson. Again, same direct drive. The line I have on this and two of the other ones is Woodstock IGFA braided Dacron line. This is a 20-pound Dacron. And the reason I have that on there instead of monofilament, which is what I usually use on my other reels, is because these old Baitcasters were made for braided Dacron and nylon lines. And I mean braided nylon, not regular nylon. So they work a lot better with them. And this one's pretty much similar to the Ocean City. It's got your control, backlash control knob. It's got the tension knobs, bait clicker. Still a very nice reel. The only thing about this one is when you take the reel apart, it's a simple reel too, but there's no way to get the gears out. They're pinned in there or riveted or whatever the term is. So there's no way to get the gear out and give it a full proper cleaning. So what you have to do is basically clean the gear as best you can and lubricate it, and that's really it. The other thing, this knob right here is really sticky. It's hard to turn easily. I tried adding oil to it and soaking it in WD-40 and everything, and I just can't seem to get it to spin more freely. If any of you know how to solve that problem, feel free to let me know in the comments, and I'll try. Maybe I'll try that any methods suggested. This knob spins nice and freely, so that's kind of the one I use when I turn it. I'll still use the reel though. It doesn't affect the overall function of the reel as far as being able to use it. One thing about the pawl on this reel, and I'm going to see if I can get it out, so just bear with me for a second. So one thing about the pawl in this reel is that it's double-sided. Oops, ooh, that was a scary moment. Always try to keep good control of your pawl when you're showing it off to the camera. Let me get something to hold it. There, I got these needle nose wire bending pliers. As you can see, the pawl is double-sided, which is a really neat feature, and there's other Bronson reels that have this. The idea behind that is so that way if one side of the pawl either gets worn out or broken, you can flip the pawl over to the other side and keep using the reel. So it saved you from having to buy another pawl, which is actually a neat feature. One of the more unique pawls I've seen in these reels. The Brook Lure was made. The one I have was made in 1939, and once I get the pawl back in here, I will show you how I know that. Because there's an interesting way to date Bronson reels that I learned also on that same Orca website. Bear with me here while I get this back in. I'm actually going to stop the camera right now. Sorry about that. So, the way I know that the Bronson reel was made in 1939 is if we look on the bottom of the reel foot, and I don't know how well you're going to see this, there's a 2-number code. That indicates the year that it was made. In this case, it says 39, so that means this reel was made in 1939. So it's a pre-war reel. And as you can tell, works really nicely. Again, I have the same line on this as I do the Ocean City Interstate. I hope to find a steel casting rod for this because it is from the 30s, and fiberglass rods did not become popular until after World War II in the late 1940s. So we'll see. A friend of mine actually said he was going to try to find a rod for this reel, so we'll see how he does. Or maybe I'll find it myself, we'll see. But anyway, that's the Bronson Brook Lure number 15. The next one is the Shakespeare True Blue model 1956. Now, the 1956 is only a model number. It is not the year it was made. On a Shakespeare, and I believe I mentioned this in my video I made on my Shakespeare rods. There is a date code right there on the side plate. In this case, it's FK. The F is a 5, K is a 1, so this reel was made in 1951. It has the tension knobs on both sides and the bait clicker, all that, but it does not have a backlash control knob, so to control your spool you have to use the tension knobs. I like to adjust these to where there's very little to no play in the spool, but not too tight because you want the reel to spin nice and freely. And that's what works for me. Again, same principle, works the same. Very nice reel. And if anybody's wondering what I plan to use these reels for, I plan to use them for summer bullhead fishing, where I have like a 1/2 ounce or a 1 ounce weight on, and I'll toss it out in a lake or a pond, or maybe a big river, because these reels cast best with heavier weights because that's what they were designed for. When I bought this reel, though, it was missing the handle originally, but I just so happened to have a spare handle and handle nut with it, or that work on it, I should say. So I was able to fix it up, and yeah, working beautifully. When you see the handle spin like that, you know it's nice and clean and that you did a great job. Just going to loosen it up a touch. So, yep. There's the Shakespeare True Blue model 1956. Now the fourth and final reel I'm going to show you is what I consider the cream of the crop. The Fluger Akron model number 1893. But 1893 was not the year this reel was made. I believe that's a year for that the patent for it was filed. For the design, I should say. This one was probably made, I don't know, between the 40s and the 60s, I'm thinking. But this one is one of the nicer reels. Not saying those ones aren't nice, but it's one of the more, it was one of the more sophisticated reels from back in the day. Similar concept, except, as you can see, it has a different kind of setup for its level wind. There's a brass gear in there, and that helps. It meshes with the main gear, drives your level wind and your line guide and whatnot. But the nice thing about this is when you take this apart for service, the line guide and features can all come out in one piece. as opposed to, let's use the Brook Lure for an example. The trough, that's a separate piece and can be tricky to line up when you go to put your side plate back on. It's got your tension knobs, but when I first bought this reel, it was missing these, but I was able to find a website that had these available, so I bought them and was able to complete the reel and save it. I'm not sure if that's ruby or rhinestone. I'm not really too sure. There's your backlash control knob right there. And this screw serves an interesting purpose. It settles in a recess, and in there it has a spare pawl. So if the one here ever breaks or wears out, you have another one to replace it, which is really neat. You know, again, knuckle buster. It's got the bait click as well. One thing about the bait clicker, when I first bought this, the bait clicker was really loose, and if you went to cast the reel, you could easily, the knob would push the bait clicker into position, and you don't want that. So what the issue was that the ring that provides the tension on your bait clicker switch, because I think maybe it had been used a lot, was kind of bent, and I don't know if out of round's the term or what it is, but all I had to do was just bend the ring back into position to where now it provides the right amount of tension on the switch. And if I go to cast, that switch is not going to go forward and engage. So, very simple repair. It's a very smooth reel. It's the smoothest of the bunch, I think. But, yeah, I was very excited to get this reel because I always kind of wanted one of these. I really didn't feel like buying one online. Yeah, excuse me again. I have to spool this one up still. I have to get more Dacron, which I will hopefully in the near future. And I'm really looking forward to using all these reels this summer. So there's the Fluger Akron, number 1893. Anyway, guys, thank you for watching, and I appreciate everyone that's subscribed to the channel, supported the channel. You guys are the greatest. And I will make sure that I get more uploads going as I now have more time to do it. I'm not sure what I'm going to upload about next, but I'll figure something out. Anyway, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.